Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right, before we have a look at what stories are doing the rounds, I just want to say sorry. I'm gonna put my hands up and say sorry. We didn't do a Sunday session live yesterday. And you know what? No excuses apart from I was shattered. I was shattered. It had been a long weekend. I was in Telford doing the Misfit stuff. That wrapped up. I got back to the hotel about, I don't know, 1 in the morning. I had to get up at like 7 to get to TalkSport. I was in the TalkSport studios until like 6. And by the time I got home, I was just burnt out. I couldn't do it. So yeah, apologies. I should have left something in the community tab. A lot of you reached out to me like, Addy, what the fuck's going on? I'm sorry. We will get back on track this week. On a more positive note, the award ceremony that I was speaking about last week or the week before, it's tonight. We find out if we win tonight, people. It's a big fancy do in Park Plaza, or I should know where it is, shouldn't I? But I think it is the Park Plaza in Westminster. Yeah, I'm excited. It's weird. I was excited about being nominated, and I was like, yeah, I'm just happy to be nominated. No, I want to win. I want to win. So look, we'll find out. And as soon as I know, you guys will know, because I'll put it up on all my social media. So yeah, wish me luck. It's a big one, guys. It's a big one. But yeah, again, look, just to be nominated is big. All right, let's see what there is to talk about today. Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison face-to-face to kick off fight week. Can't wait for this one. Really excited about this fight. Tony Harrison, a lot bigger than Tim Tszyu. Not thicker, but a lot taller, a lot rangier. I'd say he's about 3 or 4 inches taller. Does that mean anything? I mean, height does mean anything. It means a lot. I mean, if you can use your reach, it means a lot. But Tony Harrison is the type of fighter that likes to get inside as well. So I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I am still going with Tony Harrison to get the W, but Tim Tszyu in his own backyard. A lot of people think he's a favorite to win. Not me. I think Tony Harrison gets it done, but we'll see. Another big fight announced. We have a date now and an arena. Fulton Inoue, 122-pound belt on the line, 7th of May, Yokohama Arena. It's a good one. I said this the other day as well. I think I was speaking about Mark Magsayo Figueroa. Figueroa got the job done, by the way, on the weekend. I was like, big fights are being announced, that we are getting really good fights. And I said that I think maybe because we're not getting Fury Usyk and Spence Crawford, it feels like we're not getting big fights. We're getting big fights. I mean, we got Ryan versus Tank. That's a big one coming up April 20. In fact, that's not a big one. That's a massive one coming up April 22nd. So the big fights are happening. And I think once we get Fury Usyk announced, and I think we're going to get it announced, I think people are going to realize like this is a really good first quarter. And it is still just the first quarter. I expect some big things to happen between September and January. I really do. By the way, I did a video the other day saying that Jake Paul did over 500,000. I think it's coming now that fight, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury, did 775,000 pay-per-view buys. Extraordinary. That's sensational. Honestly, that's sensational numbers. And that now reaffirms my belief that Jake Paul KSI would do over 1 million. And look, some of you care about pay-per-view buys, some of you don't. But I think it's still an interesting gauge to see where this crossover boxing thing is. Like, I knew the interest was there. I didn't know it was there like that. Like, KSI Jake Paul would do over 1 million and it would do a stadium. Sensational. Honestly, it's crazy. All right, what else have we got here? Devin Haney on Lomachenko belt. I see myself being dominant. Don't know, man. Again, look, like Devin. I do like Devin. I saw him going back and forth with a fighter on Twitter. I don't know who it was, but he was going back and forth with someone. I like Devin, but it is still just the Kambosos win. And that's not me disrespecting Kambosos. Like, for Devin to go into Kambosos' backyard twice deserves a lot of respect. But that's Kambosos. I felt like any of the top guys would go over there and do that to Kambosos. Like, go and watch the videos. It's there. I said it. I said that Loma would certainly go over there and do that to Kambosos. Lomachenko ain't no Kambosos ain't no Lomachenko. I don't know if we're maybe looking at Loma's most recent fight and thinking he might be down, or, you know, Devin's too big, too strong. Kambosos ain't no Lomachenko. Just leave it as that, right? I mean, Lomachenko is going to show Devin a few things that he hasn't seen before, and certainly a few things that Kambosos wasn't able to show. So yeah, I don't know. I still expect Devin to get the job done, just because Devin's doing this and Loma's doing this, and I feel like Loma's where he's at now, Devin might have just eclipsed, but I still expect it to be a very, very good fight. A very good fight. Jarrett Hurd lost on the weekend. I think, was it a corner stoppage or the ref speaking to the corner and them calling it off after the 10th round? That's 3 of his last 4 now that he's lost. So I don't know. He lost to J-Rock, lost to Arias, and lost on the weekend. His fighting style, for me, was only going to go one way. Don't get me wrong, he was always bigger and stronger at 154 pounds. I remember that fight against Lara, where he beat Arislandi Lara by split decision. He was so much bigger than Lara. He was almost a bully. But he still just liked to fight in the pocket rather than use that size. Do you know what I mean? Use that reach. He was almost still like, okay, I'm going to grind this out. That fighting style only lasts so long. I've seen so many fighters fight like that. It will only last so long. You can only go into the trenches, to the well, so many times. And I don't know. Look, it was a long layoff, right? He's in the last couple of years, he's been very inactive. So look, he said he'll be back. No doubt he will be back. But I don't think the Jarrett Hurd of 3-4 years ago will be back, if that makes any sense. So, yeah. I don't know. Brandon Figueroa just said it, spoke about getting the win over Mark Pacquiao. Pacquiao's team, by the way, not happy with the scoring in that fight. He is now the WBC interim champion. Look, Ray Vargas, who last fought at the weight above, he has said he will come back down. So it's most likely going to be Brandon Figueroa versus Ray Vargas for that WBC strap. Ray Vargas is the WBC champion. Remember, he beat Mark Pacquiao for that belt. We'll see how that plays out. Mark Pacquiao is a really good fighter, by the way, but the way people were talking up Figueroa, I think I expected just a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand when I do that? Like, just a bit more sort of magic dust, something a bit special. Didn't see it. Ray Vargas is very, very good. Don't be fooled about him going up a weight and losing. Ray Vargas is good, and I expect Ray Vargas to beat Figueroa. That being said, because of Figueroa losing, there was a lot of talk about who is the best featherweight. It is now Lara for me. It's Lara. It's not Luis Alberto Lopez. It's not Conlon. It's not Warrington. It's not any of it. It's Lara for me. Mauricio Lara for me is the number 1 in the division. Pacquiao advised and says he gives benefit of the doubt to Conor Benn. All right, let's talk about this. Conor Benn has obviously done this sit-down interview with Piers Morgan. I've seen a couple of clips. I've not watched the full thing. I might watch the full thing a bit later if it's out. I don't know if it's out, but we'll watch it. Obviously, look, I thought it was a strange choice to go to Piers Morgan, but Piers Morgan is a massive platform. It makes more sense, I guess, doing a Piers Morgan sit down than doing it with anyone else, right? If Conor Benn wants to shout his innocence from the rooftops, then go to Piers Morgan, where you're going to get millions of views. It makes sense. I can understand why his management team have said that. Again, I haven't seen it, but I will watch it. I will say this, though. I think a lot of people are starting to maybe change their opinions on this Conor Benn situation. A lot of people. It's still a tough one for me. Like in fact, I'm just going to say what I think on it. I very, 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 very rarely switch sides. If someone takes something, I'm sorry, you've cheated. And that's not just because I'm a boxing fan and we've seen it in boxing for years. It's because I'm a sports fan and I've seen it in sports for years. Like Marion Jones, one of my favourite athletes of all time, when she popped when I was young, I was like, what? Impossible. No. There must be something to it. And she's just guilty. I to this day, I still couldn't believe it. So when someone popped for something, my immediate reaction, and I think most people's immediate reaction are, like, cheat. Guilty. That's just how it is, right? Because we're so used to it. It's very rare that when someone pops for something, they can almost prove their innocence. It's very, very rare. It must be like 1 in 1,000. Could this be the 1 in 1,000? Could it be? I mean, could it be? I'm asking a genuine question to you guys. I'm not telling you anything. I'm asking a question here because the way in which this guy, Conor, has shouted from the rooftops that he's innocent, I mean, most people that are guilty, almost, they'll shout their innocence for a month and then they vanish, don't they? They vanish, and then that's it. They get a ban, they go away, and we don't hear from them again. This guy's adamant. He's adamant. So look, I'm very, very interested in watching, and I hope that Piers Morgan does dig a bit here. I hope that Piers Morgan doesn't take the softly approach. I hope he goes quite hard, which is why I'm happy that it is Piers Morgan and not anyone else doing the interview, because hopefully, he hasn't got a dog in the fight here. He's not a boxing fan per se, so hopefully he goes quite hard on this one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm trying to think of who has failed a test, and this is of recent times, and there has come back some sort of innocence. I think the only one that I can think of the top of my head is Yoel Romero, a former UFC fighter. I think he's currently fighting in Bellator. He failed. I think USADA popped him. He was able to prove his innocence, and he got a massive payout from USADA. But again, it's very, very rare. The WBC, though, are a disgrace in this situation. The way they've handled this thing is it's a shambles. It's a shambles. And that's my only thinking is as to why Conor Benn is livid with the whole situation, because there's something gone wrong here. Again, whether you believe Conor Benn to be guilty or innocent, you have to admit there's something not quite right about the whole thing. And hopefully with this Piers Morgan interview, we find out a bit more. Anyway, look, back to the Pacquiao-Conor Benn thing. Pacquiao's advisor has put up mock posters, Pacquiao versus Conor Benn. Looks like it's going to happen somewhere in the Middle East. I'm guessing Abu Dhabi, where Matchroom have a relationship there with the team that put the fights on. It's going to happen. I now believe it's the only fight that's going to happen. There is no other fight being spoken about. Conor Benn is going to fight. We see him. He is in shape. He is training. He keeps on saying fight news pending. And Pacquiao's team were like, okay, look, we want to wait and see until the WBC come out with some sort of ruling before we can kind of green light this. They've waited for the WBC. The WBC have given their ruling. Conor Benn's back in the rankings. This fight's going to be green lighted. We are going to see. I'll be very, very shocked if we don't see Manny Pacquiao, Conor Benn. Now, on the fight, honestly, I would rather see. I can understand why Pacquiao Benn is more attractive than the fight I'm going to mention next, but I would rather see Conor Benn. This is honestly my own opinion. Echo Usman. That's what I would rather see, because I want to know now that Conor Benn is way above that level. Because Echo Usman is the British champion, I believe the Commonwealth champion. He's got an IBF international belt. He's coming off a good win against Chris Gongo. He is now the top dog in Britain. Fact, right? British belt tells me that. Conor Benn has almost skipped that, hasn't he? He's skipped the British level scene. I think a good comeback fight is Echo Usman. And look, I get it. Echo Usman's not as glamorous as Manny Pacquiao. I understand. But you put Manny Pacquiao, by the way, Manny Pacquiao is still risky, He's still risky. But you put Manny Pacquiao on your resume at this age, you don't get much plaudits for it. What's Manny Pacquiao? By the way, Manny Pacquiao's only coming back because he didn't win the presidency in the Philippines. He's 44. He's 44. I mean, how much plaudits are you going to get for beating this version of Manny Pacquiao? I don't think you get anything. Honestly, I don't think you get anything. That's my one sort of my one drawback to this. I get that Pacquiao in the Middle East versus Conor Benn is a bigger fight than Benn versus Echo Usman. But I think the boxing public, especially over here, would give way more plaudits for Conor Benn fighting Echo Usman and getting the job done. And then you're like, okay, you're number one in Britain, which makes you almost by default one of the best in Europe. We get it now. Let's see what you can do world level. This Conor Benn thing versus Manny Pacquiao, what it doesn't help Conor Benn do, I don't think, is that when you look at Conor Benn's recent run and look the way he's destroyed those fighters, tick, tick, tick. But the stick he's getting for destroying those fighters is that those fighters are all done. Right? They're all done. Everyone, Algieri, done. Vargas, done. Do you know what I mean? These were good fighters 6 or 7 years ago. Chris Van Heerden. But they're way past it now. So we want to see you in with a young, hungry fighter. Echo Usman. Manny Pacquiao is gonna be added to that list of fighters that are, and in Pacquiao's age, 5-6 years past it. I mean, if we're going peak Pacquiao, 10 years past it. In fact, 13-14 years past it, if we're going peak Pacquiao. So, not for me. That being said, I want to go. Mike Tyson advises Usyk to stand his ground with fury, not run around. Usyk doesn't run around. Usyk runs around to create angles. Usyk's not a runner. I've watched Usyk now a few times. He's not running. He runs to create angles for you to fall into traps for him then to counter. There's a difference between a fighter running, where he just like stick a jab and move, to a fighter moving to create angles, which he does because he's always like that, to then make you fall into that and then bang. Usyk's not a runner. Come on, Mike. Canelo versus Ryder. Hearn hopes to announce fight next week. So that's this week. Look, it's done. I'm very, very intrigued to see if this will be on pay-per-view. Very intrigued. Bear in mind, AJ Franklin isn't. Is this comparable to an AJ Franklin? Not necessarily, because Canelo is undisputed champ at 168, so it's not like he doesn't have, some hardware in front of him. But this is almost a voluntary, in the sense that this is like when you look at sort of Canelo's resume of the last sort of 7 or 8 years, this can be compared to a Rocky Fielding. Do you know what I mean? Like you have those fights in there, yielded him. Although, by the way, those fights were, I think Rocky Fielding had a regular title, so there was something there, and yielded him was for the WBC, wasn't it? So there's hardware there, but this is almost that. Like when in 15 years' time, when we reel off Canelo's resume, we're not going to reel off John Ryder. So I do wonder if DAZN, even if it is on pay-per-view, because Canelo's a pay-per-view fight, I wonder if the price point's a bit lower. That would make sense to me. But I just work for them. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. All right, anything else? Let's have a quick look. I don't think. Massive shout out, and I'd love to get this guy in the studio. I say in the studio, in my bedroom, because my bedroom's there and this is where I am. Ohara Davis. I had to say that, by the way, because when I said in the bedroom, it didn't come out well, did it? Ohara Davis beat Lewis Ritson, stopped him in the 9th round. So Ohara Davis is in line to fight for the WBA title. Now, there's still so much going on in terms of who he fights, but he's in line. He's sort of come up behind the scenes. Like, by the way, Ohara Davis has only lost twice. Once to Josh Taylor, who is considered the best 140-pounder on the planet, and once to Jack Catterall, who beat the best 140-pounder on the planet. That's it. I almost feel like he's been discarded and written off. Ohara Davis is still a very, very good 140-pound fighter. Honestly, I would say world-level 140-pound fighter. Good win against Lewis Ritson, who obviously done his best stuff at 135 pounds, didn't carry that power up to 140, but that's a solid win. Very, very solid win. And look, he's there or thereabouts now. I would love to see, like, Rolly Romero is fighting for the vacant title. I can't remember who he's fighting again. Let's have a quick look. Sorry, I should know this. I hate when I don't know these things off head. That's it. He's fighting Puello. Yeah, Puello. Alberto Puello. I expect Puello to win. But if Rolly Romero wins, there's a chance that they could make Ohara Davis Romero next. There's a chance. He still might have to go through one more hurdle. I think Ohara Davis could beat Romero. I think he could beat Rolly. And by the way, I'd love that fight. I'd absolutely love it for Ohara Davis. Go to America. Romero chats a lot of shit, we know. Sell yourself. Get out there and bash him up. And I think he could bash him up. And he could be a world champion. I mean, look, there's so many hurdles, right? It's not what I've just said isn't easy to get to. But big respect to Ohara Davis. He's not with any big promoter. He's not with a broadcaster. He's doing it the hard way by himself. He was almost thrown to the wolves, and he's come back by himself, and he's getting the job done. Massive respect to him, man. Hopefully, he makes some money and gets a big fight very, very soon. All right, another one. All right, we're going to end on this. Boots Ennis and his dad, Bosie Ennis, I believe, did an interview recently, and they spoke about Terence Crawford, and they did speak about BLK coming to them and offering them money for the Terence Crawford fight. They turned it down because they're loyal to Showtime. So, you know, when people say things like Terence Crawford doesn't want these fights, that fight, Terence Crawford wants all the smoke. All the smoke. We know he tried to make Errol Spence fight. Yay or nay? Yay. We know now that with BLK Promotions, he wanted to make the Ennis fight. Obviously, they went the Avanesian route, but he wanted to make it. He now looks like he's going to ink a deal with Golden Boy And it's not really for the Alexis Rocha fight. It's for the Virgil Ortiz fight. So he's literally going, look, I will go anywhere. I will go anywhere and fight you. Oh, be okay. Can you make this? Let's go. Spence, he's trying. It's not happening. But don't act like this man, Terence Crawford, isn't trying to make the fights. All right, are we done? Erickson Lubin open to Errol Spence showdown. I think it's a great fight. Yes, it's a good fight, man, especially at 154 pounds. I mean, Lubin's not the biggest, 154 pounds. I think in size, that they're not that much difference. Skill-wise, Lubin can hang as well. I like that fight a lot. That's a really, really good competitive 154-pound fight. All right, guys, girls, wish me good luck. We are done.